The Inferno is considered Old School RuneScape's hardest piece of PVM content ever made. Upon release, it took almost 48 hours for the first player to complete it, who most of you know was Woox.
What? Whoa, I did so well. Oh, I did so well. I don't actually know how I died. I really don't.
What are you doing here? I was about to kill Inferno, then Yard spawns.
Oh my gosh, I missed it. I had that, I think.
I don't know when you're supposed to shoot it. I have no idea.
Although as time has gone on, players have discovered the most efficient methods to beat it, it's still insanely difficult for even the best PVMers. As a result, players who wouldn't even think about cheating in the past turn to a third party to get the cape for them. In today's video, we explore how these services function and why so many players have broken the rules and used them. The Inferno was originally released on June 1st, 2017, and soon after, Jagex made their stance very clear on how players who cheated to obtain the cape would be punished. We aren't going to name and shame. Sellers will be permanently banned, buyers will be temporarily banned, and will lose their Inferno capes. In the beginning, it was pretty easy to detect when players had purchased their cape or had a friend obtain it for them. The main reason behind this is because a lot of the times the seller would simply log into the user's account from a different IP than is normally used. For example, let's say the player logs in from the same IP every day. Suddenly they log in from a different one and get the Infernal cape on their first try. It literally only takes seconds for Jagex to realize that this cape was most likely obtained illegitimately. Since Jagex waited about a month to announce the punishment for those who purchased or sold an Infernal cape, many sellers didn't offer a way to appear as if the attempt came from their normal IP or the increased ban protection they offer now. This is something I'm going to explain more in depth just a little bit later in the video. Now, as I mentioned previously, for those buying the cape, the punishment is usually a temporary 2-week ban. This is something that seems to be a little bit controversial, because most players who bought receive a permanent ban almost immediately, right? Well, it's a little bit different than just botting. Many of those players who bought don't really have much to lose. Oftentimes, the botting happens on fresh accounts with free scripts. When it comes to the Infernal cape, this is a service you have to purchase, and it is not cheap. Most sellers don't have public prices, but the cost varies depending on your level and gear. I've seen the price range from around 200 to 300 USD, or 300 million to 400 million old school gold, all the way up to almost $800. Imagine paying that much for this service, only to have your cape revoked and your account banned for 2 weeks. That must sting a lot, especially if you pay using old school gold, because it could take literally months for you to earn all that back. Now, you still may be thinking they broke the rules, so still, it should be a permanent ban. And in some cases I'd agree, except Jagex's detection of these buyers isn't exactly perfect and they have made mistakes in the past, even if it is very few. On a few occasions, the cape has been removed from players who have gained the cape legitimately. Even when it's proven they didn't cheat to gain the cape, they don't get it back. Here's a quote from Mod Infinity explaining why. This is of course extremely unfortunate. We are currently unable to return the cape or any lost items on Old School. While this rare incident could only happen to those who have originally been caught breaking the rules, I of course understand that on the second attempt you obtain the cape fairly. However, to try and make up for this, the player was credited with 3 months of free membership. As Infinity mentions, the player did break the rules the first time and attempted to buy the cape, and it was removed soon after. However, the second attempt was completely legit. Regardless, Jagex is still doing a good job at banning these cape buyers, especially Mod Sween, who is very adamant about removing these purchase capes from the game. However, as time has gone on, these techniques to purchase a cape have gotten more and more advanced. Many of these sellers will no longer even try to get the cape for you unless they can get it on the IP you normally play on. So how exactly is that done? It's actually a lot easier than it sounds. The seller will tell you to install a program such as TeamViewer or Chrome Remote Desktop. These programs allow the seller to connect directly to your computer and take control of the mouse cursor as well as keyboard functions. This makes it very difficult for Jagex to detect who is cheating and who isn't. Some of these sellers have anywhere from 50 to almost 200 completed Infernos done, some of which they claim to have very few or even no bans. Although it's been a few months since a public post documenting how many buyers and sellers have been banned, Jagex still seems to be very diligent at work trying to tackle this problem. They have a lot of work cut out for them, but it truly is amazing that they've gone to this extent to protect the integrity of the game. Anyway, that's really all the information that I have for this video. If you like this one, chances are you'll enjoy my video about the history behind RuneScape's first ever major bot, which should be linked on screen now. As always, thank you so much to my Patreon supporters. With all that being said, drop a like, comment your thoughts about this topic, and I will see you in the next video.